people listening or watching my podcast have known for years since I've been doing this that the entire emphasis is about health. And over the years, I've interviewed lots of different professionals, healthcare professionals, medical professionals, nutritionists, people involved in psychological health and wellness. And one of the things that I find fascinating is when I meet somebody who challenges my own conceptions of health and helps me stretch and learn and grow into what I think is a more well-rounded understanding and probably more accurate understanding of what we all need to live a healthy life. And that is Dr. Kevorkian, who I'm just thrilled to have the time to have the conversation with him today and bring that to you because long-term health is not just about diet, exercise, or supplements. It's about purpose. It's about alignment. And today we're exploring this powerful connections between intentional living, stress resilience, and sustainable well-being. Our conversation, it's going to unpack a wide range of topics within those issues, but it really comes down to daily choices, clarity of mission, and how your nervous system is aligned with your thoughts, actions, and beliefs so you can prevent burnout and build lasting vitality. So it's a practical look, and today is going to be all about practical tips and topics. And so, Dr. Kevorkian, welcome to the Delivering Health podcast.
Hey, John, that was a great introduction. Thank you very, very much. Honored to be here.
My pleasure. So, you and I started talking before I hit record, and you said something I think very prescient. We didn't talk about, uh, you know, recording this part of it or going back to what we talked about, but you challenged me. I used the word medicine,
Mhm.
and you challenged me and you encouraged me not to use that word medicine with respect to what you do. And so, please, I would love for you to replay that a little bit, that definition of what you said, and why you think it's really a wrong term to use, incorrect.
Well, first, I have no issues whatsoever with the practice of medicine. The science and the practice of medicine is extraordinary at what they do. The problem and why I challenge you with the when you use the term is we have come to equate the practice of medicine to the creation of health, and that isn't what it is. The practice of medicine is to effectively diagnose and treat diseases, find pathologies and treat those pathologies, whether it be through uh, interventions like pharmaceuticals or surgeries, or even within the utilization of vitamins and herbs and supplements. When we are focused on the treatment of disease, there's nothing wrong with that, but that our culture has begun to equate that when we eliminated disease, that we've created a healthy and well person. Obviously, it's better to not have diseases and conditions and ailments of sorts, but health, well-being is a whole lot more than that. Actually, I'm not new in this idea. There was a fellow, about 50 years or so ago, called Aaron Antonovsky, a social scientist who actually coined the term. He says much of what we have looked at in our world are things that create pathologies and treating those conditions, or pathogenesis, as it is called, the looking at what creates pathologies or disorders. And the focus has been at trying to eliminate those pathologies. And the assumption was that when you eliminated pathologies, you created a healthier person. There was no term that has existed in our language that looked at those things that created health, well-being, and vitality. That we have just created this idea that when you got rid of pathologies, you created health. But he coined this term called salutogenesis, which comes from the word salute. You know, when you hold up the wine glass at the holidays, say to life, to health. And he said that there is this idea of creating health, salutogenesis. So it's not just within the world of chiropractic, but it's really within the world of healthcare that salutogenesis looks at what things can we do that elevates the well-being of the human being, whether it be physically, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, that we can do things, give input to the physiology that allows this being to be healthy and well. And just because we've effectively treated pathologies doesn't necessarily mean we created a healthier, more sane, more adaptable, more functional human being. And so he said, let's look at things in that. It's actually one of the fastest growing areas within the healthcare sciences. Is this idea of salutogenesis. When I heard this term, I said, boy, it totally aligns to my philosophy as a chiropractor, because chiropractors come from a standpoint of saying that the body is designed inherently to work right, that it's really designed by our creator to make every drug, every chemical it should ever need in a lifetime. And rather than us trying to fix or treat things that we so called think are wrong, let's take interferences out of that system that controls it. So the whole philosophy of chiropractic is built on this idea that life already knows what it's doing. Let's just take interferences away from life doing and expressing itself optimally, and we're going to create a healthier human being. So the concept or philosophy of chiropractic is born out of this idea of vitalism, that there's this vital life force that's trying to express itself within the expression of the human being within their lives. So when I heard this term salutogenesis, and that totally aligns to what my objective was in practice. Everybody knows that people can go to chiropractors for headaches or back pain or some limited conditions. I mean, I saw lots of kids who come with bedwetting and neurodevelopmental disorders, but my focus was never to treat a condition. It was, what could I do to take an interference away from the how that body worked so that the body can optimally express itself. And that was really trying to create health, whether the condition went away or not. That a person, every human being, deserves to have a healthier functioning body. Particularly, the focus of what I did was to enhance the function or optimize the function of the human nervous system.
And when you and with chiropractic, as I understand it, in terms of the nervous system and how the nerves flow
Mm-hmm,
through the body, releasing stress and tension on those nerves, realigning vertebral bodies, for example, so that
mm-hmm,
nerve signals flow
mm-hmm,
less impeded or unimpeded, helps to restore that function.
mm-hmm,
And that's a physical manifestation.
mm-hmm,
And some of the things that you're talking about or alluding to in this concept of salutogenesis are are also, I would say, in again, when my understanding of what we're talking about, more psychological,
mm-hmm,
and where people are making decisions to live their lives in a certain way that is creating friction, that is creating stress, and which starts to show up then as trauma in the body, burnout.
John, one of the things you brought right to the table is what we tend to do in our world is fragment, and we reduce things down and look at pieces of it. You can't look at the physical body without also looking at the psychological, emotional, and spiritual body. I said it's all one. Okay, your nervous system does not separate a physical phenomena from an emotional phenomenon. It's all one system. As human beings incarnate in our bodies right now in at this space and time, the nervous system is the magical holographic link between the physical and the non-physical aspects of who we are. So on one level, this nervous system is controlling the chemicals and functions of your body, but equally so, that's handling all of your thoughts, emotions, feelings, your connection to spirit. So the physical and the non-physical aspects of who we are is mediated through this thing that's called the nervous system. And it's how that non-physical stuff brings into it manifests within form. So when we look at anything that happens physically, there has to be a psychological, psycho-emotional, psycho-spiritual component to it, whether we are conscious to it or not. Okay? People much smarter than I have written books about how various states of being in states of anger, can manifest in particular physiological processes. Okay, but it works in both directions. I said you can't separate one from the other. So I'm not saying you ignore the physical side. We need to be honoring and care for our physical being. Equally so, we need to be caring for our non-physical being. As we care for our physical being, it'll affect the non-physical being. As we care for the non-physical being, it'll affect the physical being. There is a synergy that goes back and forth all the time. So lots of times, as I would care for patients within my 40 years of practice, they would very often come in with a physical issue. As we focused and looked at what's happening on a physical, physiological level, we were making input into that process. Lots of other things happened within their lives on a non-physical way. And sometimes I would ask questions, or very often it was even better when the patient came to levels of awareness within their own mind as they began to not attach to the symptom or the pathology that was there, but what can I do to become healthier? That they began to make the psychological, psycho-emotional, psychophysiological changes within their lives that drove them to maybe change their jobs, change career choices, change dietary things that they were doing, how they communicated with people, forgive somebody within their lives. There's so many other pieces of their life that affected their physical being. But as we elevated the well-being of the physical body, non-physical non-physical things change and vice versa. But the objective is to treat the problem as much as was what can we do to enhance the well-being and the vitality of that whole human being.
So what do you find is, maybe some common themes running through that approach of, recommendations that you give, or what you find are keeping people stuck in those unhealthy patterns where, you can unlock or help them realize how to live healthier lives that also improve their physical well-being?
Great question, John. And unfortunately, there isn't a single prescription because each human being is on their own journey. For um, I believe that we all have a responsibility to ourselves to do an inventory of things within our lives. And sometimes there are steps that we need to do to improve our physicality. We need to exercise more. We need to clean up our diet, stop drinking so much, take out toxins from their body. So sometimes that needs to be your focus. Sometimes it needs to be, who do I need to forgive in my life? Who do I need to be in more integrity with? How do I become more honest to myself and to the people around me? Sometimes those are the primary issues that person needs to address within their lives. Sometimes it's, who do I need to love more? And sometimes that person is themselves. How can we love ourselves unconditionally? And so it's really it's a continuous process of focusing on all the possible things. So um, very often we tend to focus on a pathology. Oh, my body is hurting here, or something is going wrong here. Yes, do and address those things as you need to, whether it's with a chiropractor or whomever, but also begin to question, well, what other things can I change within my life to make me a better being? Okay, to have me be in greater congruence. I speculate that if I walk down the street right now and I go up to the first 100 people and say, "Are there 10 things that you could be doing better within your life right now?" I guarantee you, 99% of those people could think of 10 things that they could be doing better within their lives. Whether it is at their job, with their family, at their physicality, whatever it is, start doing those things. And you don't need to do everything all at once, but just start continually doing things that benefits yourself. Maybe get more rest. Maybe put less time staring at your digital device. Maybe reduce the amount of toxins you're putting in your body and your foods. Less processed foods. Maybe it's hugging your kids more. Maybe it's spending more time with your wife. Maybe it's telling your boss something that you've been wanting to say that you're afraid to but it's creating stress within your life. Each person is on their own path. So is there one thing? Absolutely not. Other than to just not think that any one thing that's happening is the problem. Everything is so interrelated and interconnected within our universe that giving positive input into any system at any time will elevate the well-being of that system.
I love that. I love that. And you work with doctors and other leaders who struggle, I mean, with stress and burnout, like I think many people do. I believe it's an epidemic. What are some of the signs and symptoms, early warning signs perhaps, that you see, and how can people reverse them before they become a health crisis?
Rather than looking at when the problem comes up, let's take a real simple thing. What brings joy in your life? I don't mean what makes you happy. What brings, are you joyous in your position of work? Are you joyous in your relationship? Are you joyous in this experience of being able to walk outside, go in the woods, be by the ocean? Are you joyous inside your body? And if the answer to those things that you are experiencing is not, oh yeah, this is joyous for me, then identify those things and then ask yourself, what would bring more joy to me? What would it be? What can I create to make that more joyous? So often we think that we're victim to things that are around us, whether it's the government or what somebody else has done or not paying off a loan or whatever. That we tend to externalize. Oh, those are my problems that I've been afflicted with. Again, it's something we look at our physical body and say, oh, it's that condition that's limiting me from doing what I want. Any moment in time, you have the choice of being in a state of joy or not. What can you frame differently? What can you do differently? What can you say differently that would bring joy into your life?
It's interesting because I think a lot of people, myself included, there were times in my life, going through school, medical school, working, having kids, getting married, having kids, building my practice, building my businesses, where at one point I was feeling exactly that level of burnout. And my wife asked me, what would make you happy? What would bring you joy? The challenge at that point is that I had not thought about that for so many years. That was a foreign concept to me because I was so focused on achieving, so focused on giving to my family, that I hadn't thought about what I wanted and what I needed. And I'm sure that's not an uncommon. I want to bring that up and be a little vulnerable here and share that with you and the listeners, because I think that that's not an uncommon experience.
Not at all, John. We Achievements are externally monitored. Those are the things that we see. It's the money in your bank account, it's your titles, it's your positions, it's your jobs, thing that's outwardly seen. Fulfillment is internally mediated. Fulfillment is an inside process. Uh, and our culture tends to give lots of rewards and acknowledgments and praise for achievements. You're from literally when you start going to school,
Yeah.
your whole life is focused on what are you going to achieve? What are you going to accomplish within your life? And we spend very little energy to say, what brings you fulfillment? What brings you joy? What satisfies the little girl, the little boy on the inside? What has you dance with wildness on the inside? As you celebrate every breath you take. And that's what our culture desires. The that's what human beings want. We are sentient, feeling beings, and yes, we love the achievements and the benefits that come with that. But ultimate fulfillment can live at any moment in time. Those are choices that we make.
Yeah, that's great. And when you're working, you've got a what I read, and in the bio and in the form that was filled out for this podcast, which I do with all of my guests, you've got a thing called philosophy nights that you do with practitioners, and I'd love for you to talk about. I want to learn more about that because I think
So
it's fascinating.
when I was in practice, I practiced 42 years in Massachusetts, and 2 years ago I left that position and left my practice and decided to go into the world of education. And now I'm president of the chiropractic college in California. About as far away from my practice I could be. When I was in practice, um, I myself as well as a few chiropractors, oh God, very early on in practice, said, let's bring everybody together socially, not to become a political organization, and just support this vital idea of personal and professional fulfillment. Let's stay grounded to our philosophical roots of what spawned our profession, but then extend that into every other aspect of our lives, into family, into how we make decisions, how we motivate each other. So I was part of, my wife and I were hosts of a philosophy night program that we did once a month for chiropractors and anybody connected to their practices. And in that vein, I've tried to bring that same kind of approach into the academic sphere here, to the students as well as the faculty staff, so that we can all stay aligned in that philosophical grounding that I believe is so critical in finding that degree of inner fulfillment and purpose in what we do.
So, in terms of helping motivate people and then and talking to others and helping support them, a lot of people go through life being told by others what they should do or what they need to do. And I'm curious to know how the language that people speak to each other, and the language, the words that they use with themselves, affect this idea of salutogenesis, how you see that internal dialogue and those interactions between people.
Yeah, 100%. We I'm by no means a deity. There are times stuff comes out of my mouth that it's less than loving, that's less than supportive. Talk to my wife. That we all go through that reaction to something occurring the way that we prefer it not to happen, and we're all on this journey of personal growth and uh, consistency and congruency within our lives. But how we are with each other, I believe, is a critical part of how we are with ourselves. And if we're in relationship with people and looking at what does this person going to do for me, is very different than when we're in a relationship with somebody and says, what can we create together? And when you're in conversation, you are creating a relationship and a connection. Very often, our relationships are contractual or have a particular purpose. It's a meeting to get a job done. I'm going to hire you to do something, but something that's much more important than the job is the relationship between those people that are here working together. That in the journey of life, the people that you're surrounded by and are with are blessings. If we could look at each other as rather than as transactional relations that we have, but as thinking, feeling, loving human beings, the relationship is, in my opinion, more important than anything that's going to happen as a product. Um, and we need to that needs to be held in reverence, and in my world, sacred. It existed as I cared for people. Although I saw lots of patients and served lots of patients, the moment that I was with a person serving that person, that to me was a sacred moment. That person was allowing me to be in service to them. That we created a special bond. When I'm talking to with you right now, yes, there's the part of this that is the podcast and saying the right words and how's it going to build the visibility of your program and what I do. But what's more important to that is I'm having a sacred moment of getting to know who John is and what drives you and who you are as a being. One of the things that's very challenging to do in the digital realm is that we get very transactional in terms of what we are doing and not as much connecting soul to soul and spirit to spirit.
And part of that, it sounds like, comes into, connecting with other people means connecting internally with yourself
100%.
as well. So what daily practices do you teach? Do you like? Do you recommend people follow or try to achieve better alignment for them, spiritually, physically, emotionally?
So I'll share with you my personal discipline is I love. There's always exception to it. I got off of a plane last night at 11:30 at night, and I didn't get to bed until well, almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and then needed to be here at my job. So today was an exception, but my usual ritual is to wake up around 4:30 in the morning. I'm a morning person, and that's my time. It's my exercise time. It's a meditation time, and the end of my meditation is a gratitude time, and then I visualize my day. What do I want to create in this day, with the people that I'm going to be working with the things I'm going to be accomplishing, and strive to make that all happen in my mindset, in my headset. And then I take a shower, get dressed, and uh, show up in my day and do my productivity. But that's my sacred time. It's a good hour and a half of me being prepared to be able to engage in my day.
And when you're working with patients, or when you were working with patients and talking and helping them figure out what practices might be good for them to follow, you have some tips, people listening to this, maybe, so that they can start to explore that for themselves, because perhaps getting up at 4 in the morning for people is not really attractive for everybody. They might have their own set of actions or daily practices that might resonate better with them.
So very often patients, I'm going to answer your question, but um, I'll give you a real scenario. Very often patients will say to me, "Do you think I should be exercising? Are there exercises I should do?" And I said, exercise is a really good thing to do. I said, what exercise do you like to do? Oh, I hate to exercise. I said, well, why would I, in a loving way, ever want you to be doing something that you hate doing? I said, you need to reframe it, okay, within your life and find a way to love it before I can even talk to you about exercise. So I could be telling the person the absolute best physical movements to do in their lives. But if that person is engaging doing something while they're in a state of, I really don't want to be doing this, or I just got to get to the other side of this, that in and of itself is dysfunctional. So, in terms of what recommendations do I give somebody, is first coming into me asking the question, what do you love to do? Okay. What do you love to eat? Okay. Why do you love to eat it? Yeah. And to really go through the process of what is eating about? It's about nourishment. You want to give yourself, is it just about the taste of the food, or is it about the nutrients you're going to be placing into this body? How do you want to be looking at the food that you're giving yourself? Very often we go through the ritual of blessing our food. It's basically pausing to look at, this is substance, physical matter you're going to be putting into your body. Is it going to nourish the cells and well-being of your body? So rather than saying, oh, I like to eat pizza, okay, is that what you want nourishing the cells of your body? If you're going to do movement, is it going to be nourishing the physicality of your body? Your thought processes, are they going to put you into states of joy, fulfillment, happiness, connection, love? Or are your thoughts coming into this place of, okay, how can I get the next deal? Sign this product, get this product, adjust this patient. We need to look at every piece of our lives, and each person is unique on their trajectory. So rather than me saying, oh, you need to be doing these movements and this ritual, each individual needs to say, what's going to bring me joy? What brings me fulfillment within my life? And looking at the various aspects of our life. I hate getting up early in the morning. Well, then don't. Find a way to make your life work so you can get up later. My wife is like that. She is the last person that you want to be talking to at 5 in the morning. Okay? But 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, she loves that. That's her time. That's when she is in her most creative state.
That's wonderful. And if people want to learn more about, how to explore this and this approach to improve, their own personal relationships and improve and be more aligned with their purpose and create more joy in their life, do you have some resources that you might recommend to them?
Uh, there are loads and loads of books that are out there. A huge a person that I love listening to is Dr. Joe Dispenza. I love his work. Brilliant, articulate man. Bruce Lipton, amazing speaker. Um, um, so many. I love Tony Robbins. In terms of holding a real positive state. So those are a few of the ones that are out there. And again, each person's got their own path in terms of what gets them excited. Brene Brown, absolutely beautiful, loving soul. Marianne Williamson, some of my favorite speakers and authors that I've just given you, and the works and workshops that they offer.
Amazing. There's a great list of humans and their work. I'm familiar with not all of their works, but most of the people that you mentioned, I am, and they are phenomenal fountains of information and wellness and philosophy and practical applications. And that's one of the things that I think is so important, is taking away, what can people do practically
Mhm.
to start taking these steps. And that's, I think you've given some of those today as well. And so I really appreciate that. How can people find out more if they want to learn more about you and what you're doing? Is there a way for them to do that?
Absolutely. So the website for the college is lifewest.edu, Life Chiropractic College West. I am president of the college, and the whole focus and direction of the college is to create the most compassionate, capable, competent chiropractors to be the leaders in healthcare. Because what the world needs more than doctors that know how to diagnose and treat effectively are compassionate caregivers to help people go through their own personal transformation. So if you are more interested in the school, lifewest.edu, you can get in touch with me through the website. Just go to their lifewest.edu and put in information. Just say, I want to talk to Dr. Peter, and I'm happy to connect with them. Or they can email me directly, Kevorkian at lifewest.edu. But it's easier to get, just go to the website.